At the Regional Assembly, I attended a workshop entitled Non-Anxious Leadership. Various speakers discussed 13 of the most frequent issues that can precipitate a crisis in a congregation. Some of the issues cited were fraud, sexual abuse, declining membership numbers, choosing a new minister, and deciding how and where to expand the church facilities. This congregation has chosen a new minister in the not-too-distant past, and we are now in the process of deciding the future and location of church facilities, including how to pay for any improvements. Many people in this congregation serve in leadership roles. What is the role of leaders in the church when faced with a crisis? Some suggestions offered at the workshop were: use whatever techniques one has learned to remain centered and calm. Be willing to let everyone express their views. Use the kind of active listening that lets people feel they are being heard. Where possible, compromise and include the viewpoints of others in any proposed course of action. Sometimes leadership is displayed by quiet solidarity with others of like mind. The Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, the UUA president, spoke to us at the opening meeting of the Regional Assembly about her experiences at the white supremacist neo-Nazi march in Charlottesville, Virginia on August 12, 2017. She said the Charlottesville police were dressed in full riot gear, but stayed about a football field away from the site of the march. The demonstrators roamed the University of Virginia campus, beating up black people the night before the march took place. The police did nothing to stop them. The Reverend Frederick Gray and dozens of other pastors representing many faiths and denominations remained centered and calm as they stood together during the march. The white supremacists did not physically assault them, but they did shout insults, menace, and threaten them. It was frightening. She drew strength from the others' calmness, sense of purpose, and a desire to stand up for what is right. I witnessed an example of calm restraint and leadership last weekend when I was a delegate to the Idaho State Democratic Convention. The primary task of delegates is to participate in crafting and then approving the party's platform, the party's official platform. The delegates also approve a number of resolutions that are meant to be a further expression of the party's values, goals, and proposed future actions. Before us at the hearing were 17 resolutions that were the products of a great deal of thought, research, and wordsmithing by their authors. The final resolution up for consideration, number 17, was about support for immigrants and expressed outrage at the separation of families. A delegate offered from the floor a one-sentence amendment to the resolution that called for the abolition of two federal agencies, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and Customs and Border Patrol, CBP. The delegates' proposal offered no suggestions as to how needed functions performed by those agencies would be handled in the future or by whom. Suddenly, we seemed to be at a crisis point. The atmosphere in the room was highly charged. Those in favor of the amendment felt that those who didn't want to approve it as written were not in solidarity with immigrants and asylum seekers who were being abused by ICE and CBP. The platform committee chair handled the tense situation by suggesting the delegates vote to allow an 18th resolution to be offered from the floor. The delegate who had offered the amendment and other delegates together worked on the wording. The new resolution condemned the actions of ICE and CBP and pledged to fight the federal policies which resulted in those actions. The leadership remained calm, allowed everyone to express their views in a respectful manner, and made a constructive suggestion that helped to resolve the situation. Of course, not everyone was completely happy with the outcome. But because of the non-anxious, effective leadership, much bitterness and divisiveness seemed to be avoided.